5 days later, Xianxia and Xiantong looked at a corpse in front of them with ugly expressions. This corpse did not belong to the corpse spirit race, but belonged to a human race martial artist. But this is the 27th body that the religion master of the corpse spirit religion have seized. He didn't seem to have damaged his divine soul because of the seizure. On the contrary, he could seize different bodies infinitely. This is completely contrary to the common sense that Xianxia knows. When the flesh body of the strong is annihilated, the divine soul can indeed find a suitable body to seize, but the seizure is a very dangerous thing. It is very likely to suffer a backlash and be swallowed, and thus the soul is destroyed. Even if the divine soul is not swallowed, every seizure of the flesh body will consume a lot of soul power. It is impossible for anyone to seize another flesh body in a short time. However, the mysterious corpse spirit religion leader broke this rule. In just 5 days, he seized 27 times, although every time he was caught by Xianxia who is chasing him, and he would even be caught and killed as soon he seized a new body, but every time he could take his divine soul out and escape. After 5 days of chasing, they failed to kill the leader of the corpse spirit religion. Xianxia and Xiantong both noticed the enemy is hard to deal with. But it is not without gain. They discovered that the leader of the corpse spirit religion cannot seize anyone's body, only those creatures who have been planted with 10,000 poisonous evil insect in his mind can become his object of seizing the body. 10,000 poisonous evil insect. Xianxia had contact with it once. Xie Li of the Xie family was controlled by 10,000 poisonous evil insect, so he stupidly launched an attack on Dragon Cave Mountain with the power of the whole family. In the end there was no whole body left. This peculiar, weird existence, like a small worm, is the unique secret technique of the leader of the corpse spirit religion. Once a 10,000 poisonous evil insect is planted, any creature must obey his orders. He also relied on this method to enslave those unruly subordinates, and even relied on this method to seize body and escape using his divine soul. As long as there is a 10,000 poisonous evil insect within a certain distance, his divine soul can instantly reach the position of the 10,000 poisonous evil insect without being limited by space, and seize the body. In addition to this gain, Xianxia and Xiantong also keenly discovered that the leader of corpse spirit religion choice to seize the body is getting weaker and weaker. At the very beginning, after seizing the body, he was still in the third order void return stage, which was the top corpse general, but within 2 days, he can only choose up to second order void return stage. Until now, he can only take away those creatures with the first order void return stage. His technique of seizing body is not without flaws, but with a certain degree of damage, which should be aimed at the soul. Even the leader of the corpse spirit religion cannot avoid it. Even so, Xianxia and Xiantong are also exhausted. Let's go again, he won't be jumping around for long. The old man really doesn't believe he can escape from me. Xiantong was also annoyed. He is now a powerhouse of the Void King realm, and he is worthy to be the first person of Shadowed Star. When he was proud of his life, he could not get his hand on this corpse spirit religion leader, which made him very angry. Xiantong didn't know that the origin of the leader of the corpse spirit religion was much greater than that of his Void King realm. Have you caught his movement? Xiantong turned his head and looked at Xianxia. After a few days of hunting down, Xiantong also knew the weirdness of the leader of the corpse spirit religion. If he did not follow Xianxia, he would not be able to cut the roots by himself. He couldn't notice the trace of the leader of the corpse spirit religion. Xianxia closed his eyes to perceive, and it took a long time before he suddenly opened his eyes, and stretched out his hands to tear the void without saying a word. In a jungle, a handsome and evil young man fled in embarrassment. The young man seemed to be only about 30 years old. His body was filled with the fluctuations of the Saint Yuan of First Order Void Return stage. His expression was quite embarrassed, and his eyes were scarlet and scary. His face was grim. As he flees, he condenses his aura, letting out his spiritual mind to perceive the surroundings. There was no movement within 30 miles around. But the young man did not relax his vigilance because of this. On the contrary, he continued to run away, as if something terrible was chasing him. His face was cruel, and his eyes were full of unforgettable hatred. He was a well-known existence even in that place. There are really few people who dare to provoke him. But since coming to this star territory and falling to this cultivation star, for tens of thousands of years the fortune has become more and more worse. The flesh body was broken by Yang Yan, and it took tens of thousands of years of sleep to recover. At this moment, he is chased by a trash third-order void return stage, with no way out. If he were in his heyday, he could smash that trash into pieces with a single look, but now he has to run away. The young man suddenly had the grief and anger of being bullied by the dog when the tiger fell to remote mountains, and the grief and anger of being in the shallow water made him surging with blood and unable to breathe. His divine soul escape technique is so exquisite that it can't be discovered even by the Void King realm, but the kid named Xianxia has actually cultivated the rare secret technique. If not, how could he be caught every time? Space Force secret art. Even in that place, there are few people who can cultivate it. Even if he wants to break his head, he still can't understand it. In such a place, there are people who can cultivate Space Force secret art to such a high level, and even tear space and travel thousands of miles in an instant. Just as he was thinking about it, gnashing his teeth, a strange energy wave suddenly spread in the void in front of him. The young man paused, his face turned pale. This situation has occurred dozens of times, and he is no stranger to it and knows what will happen next. This is what you forced me. The young man's eyes were filled with a gloom. It seemed that he had made some important decision. He stopped and stood there waiting quietly. The strange power fluctuations coming from the void in front became more and more obvious. Soon, a crack suddenly appeared. Inside the crack, there was a dark void and chaos. Two figures walked out of the crack. Xianxia was the leader, and Xianxia followed behind. As soon as Xianxia appeared, the powerful divine consciousness immediately locked the position of the young man. Without even saying anything, his own domain expanded, enveloping the young man, and the wind was converging in that domain. All kinds of killing moves is covering the young man. The opponent's current cultivation level after seizing the body is only a first-order void return stage. Xianxia doesn't even need to make a move. He can easily be strangled by the power of the domain. The young man laughed loudly. You ain't spare the supreme anger of this king. When the words fell, he opened his mouth and exhaled an emerald green aura. The emerald green aura twisted and squirmed slightly in the void, and suddenly turned into a green long knife with complex runes and patterns on it which made people feel dizzy at first glance. The green long knife slashed down in midair, silently. But a shocking scene appeared. Xianxia's domain was directly smashed by this knife, and it broke into pieces instantly. At the same time, both Xianxia and Xianxia's expressions changed drastically. In their vision, the green long knife actually rolled up a magical domain, broke through their own divine soul blockade, and directly descended into the consciousness sea. Transformed into the appearance of a green longsword, and cut it down with the force of thunder. The consciousness sea was cut open by the fierce vigor, and the entire ocean was divided into two. In the consciousness sea, the waves were raging in an instant, the wind was strong, and the world changed color. The plane of consciousness sea also decreased at a speed visible to the naked eye. Xianxia and Xianxia's divine soul power was cut directly by more than 1/3. Both of them snorted uncontrollably. Their headaches were like their head is splitting, their eyes were blurred, and they almost fainted. The expressions of both of them changed drastically, and they didn't expect the other party to have this kind of domineering tricks, and they mobilized the Saint Yuan for protection in a hurry. After the young man performed that trick, his face turned white, his whole body was shaky, and he was about to take advantage of the situation to run, but when he gave Xianxia and Xianxia the knife attack, he felt helpless. With a fierce curse, the whole body of the young man suddenly burst into ashes and disappeared. But a power of the divine soul rushed away from where the young man was originally, and turned around in midair, rolled up the green aura that could turn into a long knife, cut through the void, and fled away. Yang Kai stared at the direction in which he was fleeing, feeling it with his mind, but there was a peculiar domain around him, which seemed to block the world, so that he could no longer track the opponent's movements. There was pain in his mind again. Yang Kai couldn't help but wailed, and quickly took out a jade bottle, from which there were some spirit pills, half of which was divided with Xiantong. The remaining half was stuffed into his mouth, and he sat cross-legged. Upon seeing this, Xiantong quickly took the spirit pill and closed his eyes to adjust his aura. After a full day, Yang Kai slowly opened his eyes, still with a lingering fear in his eyes. He has a treasure like the colorful mild soul lotus, so even if his soul is damaged, it doesn't matter much. After a day of warmth and nourishment, he has almost recovered. On the contrary, Xiantong, it seems that the damage is not small. Even if he is in the Void King realm, he has suffered such a blow, and he will not be healed within a year or a half. As if he noticed Yang Kai's Xiantong opened his eyes, his face was slightly pale, and he asked for a while, "That guy ran away?" Yang Kai nodded silently. Xiantong sighed heavily, and said, "This person is incredible." The old man thought that after being promoted to the Void King realm, he would be invincible on the Shadowed Star, but he did not expect to suffer a big loss in his hands. There are so many capable men in the world. What level of artifact is he using, and why is the power so huge? Yang Kai pondered for a moment, and said, "It's probably Emperor Treasure." Emperor Treasure? Xiantong frowned, perceiving the surroundings thoughtfully, and nodded. "That makes sense. The surroundings are indeed filled with the power of Emperor Prestige, but why do I feel that the Emperor Prestige here and the one in the Emperor Garden is not the same?" Yang Kai glanced at him, thinking that there was more than one great Emperor-level existence in this world, but he couldn't say it. It was the power of that Emperor Prestige that isolated Yang Kai's Space Force secret technique from tracking, allowing the leader of the Corp Spirit religion to escape. Be continued.